Hi everyone, this is GED teacher Damon Tennant, and I want to say welcome back. I've taken a little bit of break over the month of July. I haven't posted any live classes since the month of June. But sounds like a few of you missed me because, I was posting quite a few direct to student videos over the summer. So maybe I'll post some of those in July just because I think they're useful to the group. But anyway, if you're watching this video, I want to just kind of get you warmed up for September, when we'll be really going back to hardcore, lessons every week. And so I wanted to do some warm-ups, okay? So if you're looking at this screen here, you see, all of you either have the Super Math Pack or the online course. If you happen to see this video elsewhere, you should get it. It's available at my GED Live. If you want somebody who can get you from point A, being where you are without your GED, to point B with your GED, I can do that. So let's jump in. Okay, so one of the main things that we need to focus on is positive and negative numbers. The reason why is that is a recurring theme that comes up again and again when we talk about the basic math and also the algebraic math. This is a concept that you need to have down. So let us go through. So 3 minus 4. Now I'm going to use a different color ink just for emphasis here. But so you always, whenever you're doing subtraction, you want to change that subtraction to addition. Like that. And then whatever the opposite of this, so because it doesn't have a sign next to it, the opposite would be negative, because if it doesn't have a sign attached to it like this one does down here, then you assume it's a positive. So we're going to change that one to minus. And so 3 plus a minus 4 equals minus 1. Now I know I might have lost some of you on that one, so let's come back to it again. So let me just rewrite it over here. 3 minus 4. So another way to think about that, because these are right here 3 positives, okay, and because this is subtraction, we're talking 4 negatives. So another way to think about that is 1, 2, 3 positives, and then use a different color here. 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. And so that positive and negative cross each other out, that positive and negative cross each other out, and that positive and negative cross each other out, leaving one negative number left. So that's just a more visual way to think about adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. But let us continue. So this next one here is 6 plus a minus 2. So again, if you want to take that visual attack, you would see 6 positives and 2 negatives. 6 plus 2, 6 plus a minus 2 will give you a positive 4. Now we come down here to this one. So again, whenever you have subtraction, you're going to change that to a positive. So again, I'm going to use a different color for emphasis. And then you're going to change the sign from a positive to a negative. Now you have a situation where you have a negative 9 plus a negative 10. And so if you wanted to do a visual of that, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 negatives. And then also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 negatives. So you see none of these cancel each other out. They're all negatives. So you would simply add all those up. Negative 9 plus a negative 10 will give you a negative 19. And then this last one here. So now we have a minus 1 minus a minus 6. So in this case, again, we have subtraction, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to addition. And then I'm going to change that to its opposite. But in this case right here, it's already negative 6. So the opposite of negative, of course, is positive. So I'm going to change that to its opposite, which is positive. And now you have a negative 1 plus a positive 6. So again, if you want a visual representation of that, that's 1 negative and then 6 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that negative cancels out that positive, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, giving us an answer of 5 or a positive 5. So again, just some brush up. These are just warm up problems just to get your mind back in the flow of what we're going to be doing once September hits and we get back to knocking these problems out. So one of the other things is solving for x. So remember, solving for x is all about doing the opposites. Okay, so our goal is to get x equals something down here. That's our goal. We want to get this x down here and the number over here. That's how we'll solve for x and know what x equals. So the way we're going to do that is by doing the opposite. So the opposite of plus 15 is minus 15. And if why? Because it's the equal sign. So because both this side over here is equal to this side over here, if I make an adjustment over here, I have to make that equal adjustment over here so it remains an equation. So 60 minus 15 is 45. That cancels out. 3x equals 45, and then again I'm doing the opposite. So in this case I have x multiplied by 3. Well, the opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide by 3, and if I do it to this side, I'm also going to come over here and do it to that side. That 3 cancels out. That leaves us x right there, and then 45 divided by 3 of course is 15, so x equals 15. Now here is a problem that requires one additional step, so we have to extend out this 3 times x plus 2, and so you'd use the distributive property, 3 times x plus 3 times 2. So 3 times x is just going to be 3x plus 3 times 2 is 6, so 3 times x gives you 3x, and then 3 times 2 gives you 6 equals minus 18. And again, we're doing the opposites. So because we have a minus 6 here, the opposite of minus 6, or sorry, a plus 6 is a minus 6. And because it's an equation right here, if I do it to this side, I have to do it to this side. So we're going to do a minus 6. That crosses out. Bring my 3x down here. Minus 18 minus a 6. Now again, I just showed you on the previous screen adding and subtracting positive numbers, so you see how this skill comes into play on the GED test. So in this case we have a minus 24, and then we're still doing the opposite, so we have x multiplied by 3, so the opposite of multiplication is division. X divided by 3, so we're going to do it to that side and then also to this side, as you're probably picking up on that pattern now. That's a 4. Make that a little more clear. That cancels out, leaving us x. Minus 24 divided by 3 is a minus 8, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And so your answer would be negative 8. So again, just showing you some warm-up problems. These are some things you ought to be thinking about as we get ready. Now, finding the slope. Everybody's favorite, dealing with linear equations. See here. So we have to find out what this point is and what this point is in order to find the slope. Now I'm going to show you what the formula is for finding the slope in a minute, but the first thing we have to do is find out what's the value of this point and what's the value of that point. Where is it on the coordinate plane here? So here we have the x-axis and here we have the y-axis, and this is point 0. So everything over here is negative, everything up here is positive. Everything down here is negative, everything over here is positive. So on the x, we're going to start here 0, and now it's going to go negative, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and then this is positive, so we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. So this point here is 1, 2, 3 negative, 1, 2, 3 positive. So that point there is negative 3, 3. Okay, and now this point here, and we have the x-axis, so we have 1 positive, 2 positives. Everything over there is positive, so that's a positive 2. And then we're going to go down 1, 2. That's negative to negative 2. So this is going to be a positive 2, negative 2 for this coordinate point here. Now, to find the slope, the formula for slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I'm going to share something very important with you right now. It does not matter what you choose as y1, or what you choose as x1, or what you choose as y2, or what you choose as x2. It's just the first thing that you choose that's going to determine what the other numbers are. So let me show you what I mean by that. If I say that this is y2, well, then this has to be x2. If I say that this is y1, then this has to be x1 because it's an x point and a y point. So if I call this y2, this is x2. If I call this y1, this is x1. It doesn't matter. If I call this y1, this is x1. If I call this y2, this is x2. And then that will make that y1 and x1. So you just start with whichever way you want. So I'm going to start down here calling this y2. And I'm going to use a little different color ink just to be clear. So that's y2, and so this is x2. And then because that's y2, the other one has to be y1, and then that's going to be x1. Okay? So again, it doesn't matter, just the first thing you choose, you just have to make sure it follows through. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this point y2, 2, and I'm going to put that in here. Except I have to go back because I realize I put these in the wrong order because the x value here is positive 2 and the y value is negative 2. So let me just rewrite that here. So that's x positive 2, y minus 2. So forgive me for that mistake, but I am recording this video live. So I want to be clear on what I'm doing here. So that first point here is positive 2, then go down, negative 2. So that's why the x value is 2 and the y value is negative 2. And then that's why over here that x value here is negative 3 and that y value is positive 3. So now we're back on track. So now, y2 is going to be negative 2 minus y1, which is 3. Okay, so you see that negative 2 right there for y2, and then y1, that 3 right there. And then the next thing is x2, so that x2 that we've identified here is 2 minus x1 that we've identified here is minus 3. So again, you can see that adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers comes right back into play here. Okay, so we're going to come over here, and because we have a subtraction here, we're going to change that to positive. And because we assume that that's a positive, we're going to change that to negative. And so that's negative 5 all over. And then down here, we're going to change that to positive, and to that opposite will become a positive 5. And so negative 5 is down, and then positive 5 to the right. So let me show you what I mean. So here we are at 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. So 5 down, 1 over. And if you wanted to draw that line, you go 5 down again and 1 over. And you see that line is consistent, a straight line. So one more time, because we have negative 5, that means we're going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down 5 over 5. And now we found the slope, minus 5 over 5. So again, we're just getting your mind back in gear. We're just doing some warm-ups here. And I have one more slide here, because you know it's always the word problems that get you on the GED test. So this isn't an incredibly difficult word problem, but this is one that we need to be aware of how to do. And so just again, this is just a warm-up. Okay, so Jim and Janice are the top salespeople at Big Z's TVs. However, last month Jim sold half as many TVs as Janice, and the other salesperson, David, sold 11 TVs. Okay, so you have 3 people here. You have Jim, you have Janice, and you have David. Last month, all 3 salespeople sold a total of 71 TVs. How many TVs did Jim sell? Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is you want to identify the question. What's the question? Well, the question is, how many TVs did Jim sell? So I'm just going to say Jim TV. And then the second thing you want to do is state your path. With just list out the information given. So the first thing you know is that Jim sold half as many as Janice. Okay, so we're going to put Jim Janice, and David. So we know that David sold 11. Okay. We don't know how many Janice sold, so we're just going to call that X. And then we know that Jim sold half as many, so just divide it by 2. X divided by 2. So that will be half as many as Janice sold. So now, let me just review that here. So David sold 11. Okay. Janice, we don't know, but she sold a certain amount. X. We'll just call it X because we don't know it. And then Jim sold half as many, so X divided by 2, or just half it. X over 2 is what Jim sold. Okay, and then the total of TVs that they sold all together is 71. So I'm going to put T for total and 71 TVs. So now we've identified the question. We're trying to find out how many TVs Jim sold. We stated our path. We just pulled all the information out of the problem and listed it here. Now we have to take this and put this in the equation so that we can figure it out. Okay, so if we take the number of TVs that Jim sold, X over 2, plus the number of TVs that Janice sold, X, plus the number of TVs that David sold, 11, and that is equal to 71 TVs, then we have an equation that we can work with because we had David, we have Janice, and we have Jim, we have Janice, and we have David equal to their total of 71 TVs of these 3 salespeople. So now, the next thing we got to do is we have to find out, we have to solve for X, because when X is going to help us to determine the answer that we're looking for is Jim TVs. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of this fraction, and we're going to do that by multiplying it by 2. Because when I multiply it by 2, here I get rid of that fraction. So 2 times X over 2, that 2 will cross out, and so it will just leave me with X. Then I have to distribute that there, and I have to multiply it here. So 2 times X is 2X. And then I have to distribute it there, is 2 times 11 is 22. And then also, remember, whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So because I multiply this side by 2, I have to also multiply that by 2. So 71 times 2 is 142. Okay, so now I'm over here. So X plus 2X is 3X plus 22 equals 142. And then we're going to do the opposite of positive 22 and minus 22. If I do it over here to this side, I have to do it to this side. That crosses out. That leaves me 3X equals 142 minus 22 is 120. And so right here I have X multiplied by 3. So the opposite of that is division, X divided by 3. And if I divide this side by 3, I have to also divide that side by 3. That crosses out, leaving me X. And then 120 divided by 3 equals 40. Now, the thing you have to be careful of here, this isn't the answer, because remember, we started with identifying our question. Our question was, how many TVs did Jim sell? So Jim sold is what we want to find out. And X, what does X tell us? Well, X tells us how many Janice sold. So on the GED test, you might see multiple choice, and 40 might be one of the answers. And you've done all of this work, you're cruising along, but then you recognize, oh, shoot, 40 is Janice. So 40 divided by 2 is Jim. So the answer is 20 because Jim sold half as many as Janice did. So again, I hope this will warm up. It helps to get your mind back into the way that we work together. I'm so excited. You know, it's been a great summer. Again, like I said, I've posted many videos one-on-one to students over the summer, but I'm excited to be doing the classes again and posting those videos as well. So if you're in the course, you're in the right spot. Hope this video is helpful to you and gets you back motivated. If you're not in the course and if you're seeing this video somewhere on YouTube or something, I'm telling you, you have to get the Super Math Pack so you can become a part of this kind of teaching that can get you to pass the GED test in 2018. Again, this has been GED teacher Damon Tennant. Thank you for spending this time and warming up with me, and look forward to working with you very soon in the future.